The streaming landscape is going to be changing quite a lot by the end of the year. Heading into 2026, we're seeing a lot of consolidations. We are also seeing the one thing that is on traditional television platforms take a much stronger step in the way of moving towards a streaming future. And we have that with ESPN buying a not insignificant they bought the NFL Network outright. The NFL got a small stake in ESPN. That's what it was. They got 10% of it. And also snatching up WWE pay-per-views. And what was it they ended up paying for this? It was a 5-year, $1.6 billion agreement, which hilariously is only $100 million more than the South Park guys got for the same timeline and considerable less content. That's absolutely hilarious. Yeah, ESPN ends up getting WWE pay-per-views. So like we said last week, okay, you got to buy ESPN service, which is also fundamentally changing as ESPN and Fox to bundle upcoming streaming services for $40 a month. Holy shit, we really are just going all the way back around to just old cable TV because, okay, cool, ESPN and Fox. Okay, so you get like half of your sports programming for $40 a month. And then you got, Netflix? I don't even know what they're running at this point in time, but if you get your choice of Netflix or Disney Plus or one of the other services, you're quickly going back to what people used to pay for a cable subscription that they got fed up with 10 years ago for costing that much. But no, it's all fine this time around because the quality of content that has come out in recent years is just so much better. But ESPN and Fox to bundle upcoming streaming service for $40 a month. So ESPN and Fox Corporation, which that might seem like it's but very much a clashing of ideologies. If you recall, Disney buying 20th Century Fox for, was that over $71 billion or something like that? It makes a lot of sense why they would try to fold in the sports side of this thing while keeping the news separate and off on its own side, okay? Because what was it? News Corp bought that side up, but okay. Are teaming up to offer their upcoming direct-to-consumer streaming service as a bundle, the companies said Monday. The move comes as media companies look to nab up more consumers, for their streaming alternatives, and draw them in with sports in particular. Yeah, exactly, because realistically, nobody's at least rewatching a bunch of those streaming shows for as much importance as placed on these prestige streaming shows. The only shit that still continues to generate views and eyeballs is all of your procedural traditional shows. Nobody talks about them, nobody discusses them, but they're still at the top of the charts. And then when they do get put on streaming services, just go ahead. Do you remember when Suits first got put on Netflix and how it dominated the top of the charts for months on end? The only thing that matters, the only thing that draws record numbers to this day, the only thing that's actually growing is in fact live sports. I should say live team sports and combat sports, just not wrestling. Last week, both companies announced additional details about the new streaming options, ESPN streaming service, which will have the same name as the TV network, and Fox's Fox One. That's such a great name. Will each launch on August 21st, ahead of the college and NFL football seasons. That makes sense. Okay, the bundled apps, however, will be available beginning October 2nd for $40 a month. Separately, ESPN and Fox One will cost $30 and $20 respectively. God damn it, man. While the bundle will offer, sports fans a bigger offering at the same discounted rate, the streaming services are not exactly the same. ESPN's flagship service will be an all-in-one app that includes all of its live sports and programming from its TV networks, including ESPN2 and the SEC network, as well as ESPN on Disney-owned ABC. The app will also have fantasy products, betting tie-ins, studio programming, and documentaries. Yeah, that's about the only thing that I'd never buy this service, okay? But the ESPN documentaries, at least back in the day, used to be pretty good. I don't know what they're like anymore, but ESPN will also offer its apps as a bundle with other streaming services, because we talked about Disney and Hulu coming together. Well, Disney absorbing Hulu, but I wanted to know how this was ultimately going to shake out, because you can get the ESPN add-on apparently for $35 a month. The Disney bundle will cost a discounted $30 a month for the first 12 months, the same price as the standalone app. Because that's all it took for Disney Plus to be profitable. That's the only thing that it took, eating ESPN and Hulu, in order to drive new subscriptions. You had to rebrand them under your failing streaming service moniker. Hilarious. Last week, ESPN, further beefed up its content, inking a deal, with the Fed for the U.S. rights for the Wrestling League's biggest live events. Well, all of their pay-per-views, beginning in 2026. I'd imagine Royal Rumble's probably going to be the first one that comes as a part of that agreement. But if you sign up for the $40 Fox bundle or for the $36 Disney bundle, you'll be able to watch all of that slop. You'll be able to see, I don't know, Roman Reigns win the fucking Rumble so that they can do Cody Roman 3 at WrestleMania. I don't fucking give a shit at this point in time, but it's hilarious, right? Hence why we brought up this, they got $1.6 billion for 5 years for roughly 60 events per year. Meanwhile, over on the other side of life, Paramount Plus nabs the UFC rights in a major $7.7 billion deal. Yeah, the Fed has never been hotter. Oh, WWE, it's just, it's so crazy popular. UFC comes over, and yeah, it's for a longer term. It's for 7 years, but $7.7 billion. Last time I checked, $1.1 billion a year is a little bit more than 1.5. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to undercut them. 1.6 over 5 years. But yes, this is very interesting. And this just goes to show you that streaming is, it's an interesting gamble. Because here's the thing, okay? Because with the UFC pay-per-views, as somebody who, back in the 100 to, whenever Conor McGregor sparked Jose Aldo, that was the last fight I ever watched, but the last pay-per-view I remember buying. Oh God, I bought everything from 100 until, Chris Weidman. Oh, okay. The rematch, Chris Weidman, Anderson Silva rematch, everything up to there, everything. That atrocious pay-per-view that was held in Indianapolis, that was headlined by Pat Barry and Mirko Cro Cop. What was the top? It was a Frank Mir fight, and Dana White, even at the end of that, during the press conference, said, "I'm sorry for that card. It was absolutely atrocious. Something like that will never happen again." I bought that card. I watched Pat Barry and, Cro Cop hug each other in the middle of the cage, and the place fucking boo them ad nauseum, and I still had a decent time. Even the bad UFC cards were still worth the, $50, $60 at the time. I unironically spent thousands of dollars on the UFC, factoring in games and merch and all of that shit. So I don't know why Paramount, because it's one thing, right? Like, if you want to pay for the right to host the pay-per-views, that's one thing, but they're just, as you can see in the byline, with the US Paramount Plus subscribers able to just simply access the fights. That's okay, you're taking the biggest company with the biggest pay-per-views off the market. That's kind of wild, okay? Because there's another player that we haven't talked about yet, and this is a bit of a tangent. This one just legitimately came to me as I'm thinking about it. But yeah, with the WWE pay-per-views that haven't really been pay-per-views since, WrestleMania 30, when the WWE network first launched in 2014. Like, they've been subscription-based models for a long time, and they've bounced around from, they were on Peacock, and then they were on Netflix, and now they're going to be heading on over to ESPN, even though I would argue probably the most profitable time for them. And by the time that it ended up getting shut down, the WWE network finally got into the black. Like, it started to make some money towards the end. It was a big startup cost, and it was something that has been in development for a very, very, very long time. But ESPN having to rebrand and them constantly losing subscribers, that is a failing platform. So who knows, they could turn it around this time. But you have HBO over there, rebranded HBO, because Max was such a stupid idea. They decided, hey, people can recognize that HBO branding. Might as well bring that back. It's like, you were the only motherfuckers on the face of the earth that thought Max would be better than HBO. So, okay, what are they doing? What are they doing with live sports? Because we know with their splitting of the company that linear networks, they're going to have the TNT, the TBS, the whole suite of Turner Sports products over on one side of the aisle. When it comes to streaming, one of their, at least allegedly, they say that it's one of their most successful products is AEW, and they're also one of the last big players. Now I think that they're probably the last big player that is going to be running conventional pay-per-views, and they just had their big event All In about a month ago, and it has done, the revised numbers on that, 180,000 buys, but at $50-$60 a pop, that's pretty good. So are they going to continue to make money that way? Because that's one thing, but everything else that AEW does is all hosted simultaneously on TNT and TBS, and then also on Max. So are their pay-per-views going to be eventually moving over to HBO as part of their live sports portfolio? It's good. That's going to be interesting. Haven't seen anything like that. Haven't even heard anything like that brought up. It came to mind, especially with all of this other stuff, because now ostensibly all of the combat sports have been wrapped up, at least the ones that matter, the major players. So let's take a look at this because I'm sure that there's probably some liberal spurgs that are probably mad about this because, oh, mega Dana White, oh no, he ends up leading what has been the most successful brand in sports definitely since the pandemic. Everybody else has just wilted and fallen by the wayside. Meanwhile, the UFC has actually found new and interesting ways to continue to catapult their momentum. Anyways, this right here just proves that. David Ellison, the new CEO of Paramount, pinned a major new deal for the media company he just took over. Paramount SkyDance on Monday announced a 7-year media rights agreement with the TKO Group, under which Paramount Plus will become the exclusive home of all UFC events in the U.S., pulling the mixed martial arts events from ESPN. Oh, interesting. Disney's ESPN had secured a deal that, starting in 2019, featured, yes, the MMA promoters matchups on TV and pay-per-view in ESPN Plus. And yeah, that was just such a bungled rollout that they had, because if you were in the US, you had to sign up for ESPN Plus, which is now not going to exist after the new rebranding that they're going to be doing in the next couple of months. But yeah, you had to sign up for that service before you could even buy the pay-per-views, which is just so fucking stupid. But okay, it still continued to work for whatever reason, because people really like UFC events. I know, right? Shocking. But that would have been a great boon for both ESPN and for the UFC, because I remember when they signed their big deal with Fox all the way back in the cut, Dana was super ecstatic about that because that was perceived as being, legitimizing the sport. And then, of course, going to the worldwide leader in sports with ESPN, that's got to be another feather in their cap. But now coming back to Paramount, SkyDance, even though it's gone through different iterations, it's kind of like a homecoming in a sense, because if you remember when the UFC first got its big break, it was over on Spike. And Spike ended up getting folded back in with Paramount, and the old Spike network ended up becoming Paramount Plus or something like that, the original incarnation of Paramount Plus or the Paramount Network. And yeah, I miss Spike. They used to actually have good stuff on TV. But the 7-year term, which begins in 2026, has an annual average value of $1.1 billion. Thanks, I couldn't do the math on that one. I'm glad you cleared that up. With an overall value of $7.7 billion over the period. The contract payment schedule is, yes, weighed more towards the back end of the deal. It tends to be how shit works out. Starting in 2026, Paramount will exclusively distribute UFC's full slate of 13 annual marquee numbered events and 30 fight nights via Paramount Plus streaming platform. Select number of UFC events will be simulcast on CBS. Oh, interesting. Does anybody remember when Strikeforce used to be on CBS? Well, I know Jake Shields does. And Jason Miller. God, it was a fun period in time. Anyways, as part of the agreement, the UFC and Paramount will move away from UFC's existing pay-per-view model, and instead the events will be available at no additional cost to Paramount Plus's US subscribers. This shift in distribution strategy will unlock greater accessibility and discoverability for sports fans and provide an important catalyst for driving engagement and further subscriber growth for Paramount. Oh yes, very much so. This is definitely going to be a big mover, but what does this mean for pay-per-views? I mean, like, this is a great thing, okay? It's kind of like how I would praise Microsoft's Game Pass, okay? How it's a tremendous value for the customer, okay? Instead of forking out $40, $50, $60, whatever the going rate is for pay-per-views at this point in time, you, for the price of your subscription, get access to these phenomenal events. But yes, Paramount said it plans to explore acquiring UFC rights outside the US as they become available in the future. So yeah, they're looking to bring everything under the Paramount umbrella, because generally speaking, we talked about this last week, and I can't remember exactly what video it was, but the consolidation of the different streaming services, I was thinking that, yeah, there's got to be like one network survivor at the end of this, and well, it kind of looks like Paramount's going to be that place, because Peacock, I mean, cool. You'll have replays of SmackDown and maybe some old content. That's nice. But how far are we away for having an ESPN Fox like team up for a bunch of the network streamers? Okay, Paramount and Peacock coming together with their bundled service, because, well, Paramount can probably stand on its own now that it has new money with the SkyDance deal going through. It also has the most reliable suite of streaming shows that continue to dominate the charts whenever Taylor Sheridan decides to hire an old star from the 80s and 90s and give them a pretty base scenario to maneuver their fairly mundane job through. People eat that stuff up, But yes, this is a gigantic deal. And you also got Amazon. God, I forgot about Amazon. They're getting in. They bought up Thursday Night Football a couple years back. So the race to acquire live sports is on. And as we've been seeing recently in the past couple of months, the beginning of this year, the first half of this year, in fact, a lot of these quote unquote prestige shows that used to be used as vehicles to hammer home the message, yeah, they're getting tossed by the wayside for much more based products like a UFC, a Taylor Sheridan, a much less political NFL moving forward. And for as much as I don't like the modern product, but the WWE that isn't scared of bringing back a Brock Lesnar and pissing off some of the stupid internet wrestling community. So it's going to be a very interesting time. I don't really know how this is going to end up working out for the UFC in the long term. It kind of keeps them now by undercutting their pay-per-view model. You get rid of that. And if at any point in time at the end of this 7-year run on Paramount, if you want to go back to the pay-per-view model, how is that going to land with audiences? And honestly, what's even the entertainment space going to look like 7 years from now? So yes, it's good money if you can get it. The UFC definitely did. It's just what are we working with moving forward? Time will tell. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.